예, 오늘 저희가 세 가지 내용의 강연을 준비했고요. 첫 번째 발표 주제는 맨 처음부터 그 이후까지라는 주제로 식스 비욘드의 공동설립자 및 파트너이신 사무엘 브레츠필드가 해주시겠습니다. 사무엘 브레츠필드 씨는 관련 분야에서 굉장히 오랫동안 일하셨고요. 말씀 들어보니까 어제 저녁에 방글라데시에서 오늘 강연에서 방문해 주셨다고 합니다. 큰 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다.
Hello, Korea. My name is Sam Bretzfield. I'm a co-founder and managing partner in a company called 6 Beyond. We're one of the only companies in Dhaka, Bangladesh that is focused on developing applications for wearables, including Google Glass. 6 Beyond has also created the world's first two-way annotation platform for glass called Share Beyond, which I'm really excited to share with you all today. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in. I hope everybody can hear me. So today's objectives and today's topics, really I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our journey and the current wearable space, and really go over a lot of really interesting wearables and what's happening in today's world. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about 6 Beyond's journey, our vision and the things that we've been working on, as well as Share Beyond, which is our two-way annotation app. And I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about the future of wearables. It's my first trip to Korea. I'm really pleased to be here and really excited to join all of you today. My family actually has ties going back to your country since the 60s. Both my mother and my father were instrumental in establishing the garment export business in Korea in the late 60s. And my mother was also the coach of your national figure skating team and the coach for the country's champion, Hoo Jin-yoon. So a lot of history for me here today, and I'm really happy to be here. So fast forward to about 10 years ago, I moved from Los Angeles, California, a place that's super sunny, where the ocean and the ski slopes are literally 3 hours apart. And I moved to a country called Dhaka, Bangladesh. Dhaka itself is a population of 20 million people. There are over 180 million people in the country. The country is also the size of the state of Iowa, so you can imagine very large population density. We also have a very vibrant and growing startup community there, which is super exciting. And I started a company called Be Global. This is a picture with my original team in a room out of my house. We started from very humble beginnings. But today, we're a pretty big team of about 180 people. And basically, Be Global has grown to be trusted by numerous Fortune 1000 companies, building all sorts of web apps and mobile apps for these companies. But we've also leveraged our teams to basically create other companies in Bangladesh. We also own an online grocery store called Direct Fresh. We own the Netflix of Bangladesh, which is called Bongo BD. And of course, 6 Beyond, which is our wearable application development company. So in addition to that, I am also a father of 2 amazing kids. Oliver, who is 2.5 years old, and my newborn Hadley, who's 14 weeks. Show of hands here, how many of you have children? All right, so I think you guys will totally get this. I want to tell you a story about Oliver. And I want to tell you a story about Oliver from a technology perspective. you know, the generation that Ollie is growing up in today and the generation that I grew up in are very, very different. So we thought it would be fun to give Ollie a pair of Google Glass, and here he is with Google Glass. And we taught him how to use Glass, and we taught him how to take pictures with Google Glass. And for the first time today, I'm really excited to share some of his awesome work with you guys. So, you know, pictures of our dog, picture of his wonderful stuffed animal collection, cartoons that he loves watching on TV, and of course pictures of things around our house. What I think is important there is that, remember, Ollie's only 2.5 years old, and he's already somewhat mastered how to use Google Glass. And if you think about that, that's pretty amazing. The point is that technology is moving faster than ever. This is Martin Cooper. His invention was the Motorola Dynatac. It was the first commercially available cell phone, commercially made available in 1984. This was only a few years after I was born. And of course, you've got Tim Cook with his latest iPhone 6. You know, so in 30 short years, we now live in a world where literally everything is available to you at your fingertips. And I believe, just like the Motorola Dynatac that we saw, Glass and other wearables are only going to get smaller, they're going to get faster, and they're going to get much better over time. And I really believe that it's going to be Ollie's generation that is going to take things even further, but much faster. So how fast? One day, Google Glass could become, oops, sorry, wrong direction, could become a contact lens. Google's actually already working on a contact lens that measures glucose levels, but one day this could replace our smartphones. One day this could replace everything that we hold in our hands or wear on our faces. And there are a lot of wearables in the marketplace today, and I think there's a couple standouts that I wanted to share with you that I think are really exciting. Everybody's heard of the Apple Watch that's coming out next year, I'm sure. This is obviously a new consumer device. I'm very excited about it. There's companies like Daiquiri. Daiquiri is a company that is leading the way in industrial applications. They actually have created the first 4D helmet. So imagine that a worker is able to walk in an oil field and look at an oil tanker and be able to just automatically see how much gas is in that tank. You know, so very much a commercially focused wearable. There's other companies like Magic Leap. Magic Leap recently closed over $500 million in financing. Google was the lead investor, and they haven't actually commercially launched or announced what their product is. However, I did a little research. This is an actual diagram of their patent, and what we do know is that they'll be using a micro projector with a laser and liquid crystalline silicone to basically project an image onto your eye that really creates a true 3D experience. You know, this could certainly change the media landscape and certainly change the future of how we intake media. And then there's other companies. You know, even the way that we interact with other technologies around us. Companies like Fin, which is a wearable for your thumb. And by simply making gestures, you're able to change the channel on your TV, or maybe answer the phone in your car, or adjust the volume. But the way that we're consuming and interacting with other wearables is changing. Oops, sorry. And then companies like Skylens, you know, the movie Top Gun, there was a scene with the MiG, and you know, you're able to see back in that movie how he's tracking to shoot down the plane. Well, with Skylens, you know, this is an augmented reality helmet that commercial pilots are able to wear, which gives them a complete reality or augmented vision of what they are seeing in front of them, where they don't even have to look at their cockpit or the instruments around them. So things are really headed in a very interesting direction. And everybody knows about Jawbone. This space is growing super quick. super fast. Features are working really, really well. The device itself first started out as a fitness tracker, but now folks are using it to actually track their sleep. And some really interesting statistics is that Jawbone actually has kept about 100 million nights of sleep that has been logged. That's over 27 years of sleep data that's sitting in their servers. And over 50 billion activity points are crunched per week. That means that over 1 million personalized insights per week are available. That's pretty incredible if you think about all of that data that's available. So let's put that into a use case and how that might be somehow applied to an enterprise solution. So imagine that you're a company and you're working in that HR department and you want to be able to save some money on your HR and your benefits costs. And anecdotally, I've heard that a Fortune 500 company is actually already doing this. But imagine that you're giving everybody a jawbone in that organization. And imagine that you're able to track your employees' sleep patterns, how much they're walking, how much activity levels they're doing. And imagine that through that data, that information is saved in the cloud, and that HR departments would then be able to pull that data down and do reporting at a tabulated level. Imagine the cost savings that they might be able to make by having that data and being able to switch up their HR plans or the benefits that they're giving to their employees. What about wearables for your dogs? This is a device called Woof. It's the world's first dog collar that tracks your dog's activity. It tracks what your dog is eating. You're able to talk to your dog in 2 ways. You're able to have a geofence and a GPS so you don't lose your dog. Believe it or not, in the United States, the dog market, there's 80 million dogs in the US and 10 million dogs a year. So, now your dog has a wearable. You know what it needs to be fed. So pretty interesting. But imagine this world. Imagine that your dog is connected to the internet via a device like Woof. Imagine that your smartwatch is connected to Woof as well, and it's telling you how often your dog is eating and when you actually buy dog food. And imagine that your smartwatch gives you ambient reminders that, hey, it's time to buy dog food, and would you please approve an order? And then imagine that Amazon or Direct Fresh would then deliver that food to your house before you even knew that you needed that dog food. That's pretty crazy. And I think wearables are really going to play a big role in the future in what we're calling the Internet of Things. So a little bit about the wearable device market. Only 4 years ago, it was a $6 million industry. Today, it's a $5 billion industry, and in 4 years, it'll be worth a $30 billion industry. So things are increasing very, very quickly. And while that's all wonderful, there's also some things that need to improve. Pretty much all consumer wearables are pretty much still connected to your phone, be it Google Glass or things like Apple Watch that's going to be connected to your phone. And that really is going to hold things back a little bit, and I'm going to tell you why. Forthcoming issues in the wearable space, each one of these are all siloed pretty much. They're all their own unique platform, and it's not open. And things really need to be able to talk to each other at unison at some point in the future. And I think that's really going to be a stress point. I mean, I do think over time things will combine, but it's going to take some time for things to get there. Wearables are definitely going to need a common operating platform to speak to each other. And that world is forthcoming in that world of Internet of Things. So I want to tell you a little bit about the journey for 6Beyond. So I want to tell you a very personal story. I was on a business trip into the United States, and my wife was in Bangladesh. And she wanted me to buy her some things from Target, which is her favorite store in the United States, things that we can't typically get in Dhaka. And now, if any of you are married, how many people here are married? One? Wow. I'm sure that you could probably relate. My wife is extraordinarily specific in the products that she buys. And I mean extraordinarily specific. So specific that she went and created a gift registry online for me so that I could print that out and take it to the store so I didn't, make sure I got the right products. And I still ended up getting the wrong products, I mean, just, of course. So, around that time, about a year and a half ago, Google Glass was just coming out. And I was at a party. I ran into an old friend who was a serial entrepreneur. And I told him my story. I told him how badly I messed up on the products and how mad my wife was at me. And what could we do to overcome that, knowing that Google Glass had just come out. And so that's when we decided that we wanted to build an app to overcome that issue. And we wanted to do that by leveraging Google Glass. So, and we got to work. The problem at the time is that development for the Google Glass platform was really just starting. And there were no online resources, there was no help, there was no community really to go to except the Explorer community, but they were all pretty new at developing for Glass as well. So we really had to learn from the bottom up. So we actually started building games. We built 3 games. We built a blackjack game for Glass. We built a game called Missile Beyond, and we also built a Pong game. And we did this to understand how Glass works and how to develop for such a small screen. And from a programming perspective, we wanted to understand how everything connected. Now, the simplicity of these games could certainly short sell the value that they had in our evolution as a company building these apps. But it really helped in our learning curve. And there was no better way to get developers really excited about a new platform and at the same time figure out a way to leverage Google Glass. That certainly helped our evolution. And so what we did is that we put those games out there for the world to see and to play. And we actually got some really encouraging reviews. With the experience of building these games under our belt, we then were able to loop back and build the application to overcome the issue that I had with my wife, and go back to what the beginnings of 6 Beyond was all about, and also make sure that I don't catch any further grief from my wife. And we came up with an app called Share Beyond. This is the world's first two-way video annotation platform for Glass. We certainly had a mission, and it took us a while to get there, but we actually were able to make it happen. And I'm going to share a video with you now of Share Beyond and some of what we're doing in Bangladesh.
We started 6 Beyond with wearable technology now online and as spaces of research. Our first application, Share Beyond, is not only inspired but commercial. Okay, Glass. Share Beyond. We created the world's first two-way video annotation platform for Google Glass. Using Share Beyond, anyone is able to project what they see on any device, anyone, anywhere in the world. Well, this board, I want to take the full time to the full time. I see something like this. Yes, that is the one. Yes. I get that one.
Finally, there's an app that allows us to provide real-time feedback to the production.
You all heard that?
give special advice to the doctors and nurses wherever they are.
Imagine you're in an accident and there's no 911 emergency service you can call. Share one and connect our back office and enable doctors to be able to respond to you. And hence, help us to say.
Imagine improvement in customer service by being able to provide assistance as if you were standing by your side.
I cannot find it as a big Oh, yes. Yes, so you have to
In the hotel industry, customer service and efficiency of handling guests is an number one priority. Now, what Chevron definitely assists in ensuring that new employees from day one are delivering the very promise accordingly.
I really believe you're going to be able to save time, money, and their lives by doing that. Since it's all about that.
So we saw some really interesting examples in that video. One was a company called Crittolink. Basically, I want to just take a moment to explain what Crittolink does. So in Bangladesh, there is no 911 service. If you get into an accident, good luck. You can be in a lot of trouble. So Crittolink has basically created a crowdsourced app, and they have trained a group of first responders on very, very rudimentary first aid techniques. And if there is an accident, you're able to get basically a crowd to help. So the idea would be that a Crittolink first responder could wear glass and to talk to a doctor in real time. So as they're working with a patient, be able to get the real support that they need to be able to help out. The other one is a rule setting. Bangladesh has a lot of people. The majority live in rural environments with no access to doctors or hospitals, which are very, very far away. And I want to tell you a story about a gentleman by the name of Professor Muhammad Yunus. He won the Nobel Peace Prize. He created the microfinance scheme. And back in the early days when mobile technology was first coming to Bangladesh, he actually gave a microloan to women in villages. And those women in the villages then in turn bought a mobile phone and allowed other people to make phone calls in the village. Well, very similarly to that, we want to use that same concept to be able to put Google Glass on women in those village communities so that they can go around and provide medical support by speaking to a doctor in the city. And we think that that could be really, really powerful. And then just recently, about a year and a half ago, there was a big garment factory that collapsed. It was called Rana Plaza. Thousands of people died. And we think that if they had our technology available at that stage, they might have been able to save more lives. So another example that we saw was also the garment factory example. Garments represent a $40 billion business for Bangladesh. It's the second largest garment producing country in the world right now. And we've been doing some pilots. We've put glass on to folks that are in charge of QC, in charge of product development. And we're seeing some really interesting things happening. We're seeing that lead times are decreasing by up to 2 weeks because people are literally sitting at a head office in Europe and give real-time feedback to what's happening on that production line, saving on bad garments, and certainly helping on development. So we're really excited about the opportunities of what Share Beyond can do for the garment industry in Bangladesh. Could there be a consumer version? Glass, I don't know if you guys have been following the news lately. Reuters just did a pretty interesting article about consumer sentiment with glass. We really believe that glass is more of an enterprise solution. Imagine a woman that is, trying to fix her car, she's looking at a manual, could be wearing glass, could be getting support from a mechanic. But I think the real opportunity, again, on the enterprise side. And if we look, we own an online grocery store with thousands of SKUs. And this is actually one of our employees who's looking down at a list, and he he then has to figure out which bin to choose from and which product to choose out of that bin to put into the cart. If we were able to give that person glass, it would be much easier for them to just look up and see the bin automatically of where they need to go to, and look down to see what product they need to choose, and have those products then put into the cart. So, that could certainly save this guy a lot of time and a lot of headache, and it'd make things a lot more efficient. So, the future. I want to share some very interesting stats with you guys. These stats really resonated with me. The total wearable devices shipped this year will be about 19 million units, and that's across a lot of different, whether it be wrists, whether it be face, whether it be thumbs, 19 million units. By 2018, in the next 4 years, they're projecting over 100 million wearable devices being shipped. That's a lot of devices. And at the same time, Cisco is predicting that there will be up to 25 billion devices connected to the internet by 2015, and over 50 billion devices connected by 2020. And that's the Internet of Things, right? That's everything in your house pretty much connected. So, Larry Page once said this. Larry Page said, "Our intention at Google is to reduce the time between intention and action." And I really believe that it's going to be Ollie's generation where this intention to action is virtually going to be unnoticeable. While we're seeing the industry explode at this point, wearables are still very much in their infancy stage in the life cycle. So lots happening, but still in their infancy stage. And that's why I'm really excited about what we're doing at 6 Beyond, and I'm really excited to be able to share what I did with you guys today. Thanks.